This is the 91st minute.
The early kickoff on Saturday was Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. Arsenal took a 2-goal lead. Forest fought back to get a goal back, but wasn't enough as Arsenal took all 3 points at the Emirates in their home opener. Fun match. I caught the highlights only and a little bit of the end of the match. Milo, how did Arsenal do this weekend?
To be honest with you, I thought it was relatively routine, despite that little 10-minute spell where Forest pulled one back, and then there was there's a little bit of excitement brewing for neutrals. I get it, but the other 80 minutes were relatively routine. I mean, look, for me, it highlighted the need to. The team has to find, and I've been, I and others have been saying this for a while now. Arsenal need to find a ruthless streak, so that if you're winning a game 2-0, you can finish it off. You need a third goal. You need a fourth goal sometimes. That's what City do. That's what teams that win the championship do. They don't allow teams back in, or at the very hint of them allowing a team back in, they do something about it, and they up the ante, and they up the tempo, and they put another one past them. And Arsenal have to find a way to do that. First game of the season, it is what it is. A bigger for me was to see what would he do with the lineup. He opted to leave Gabriel, the centre back, Cart's favourite player, opted to leave him on the bench. Said the decision was tactical when asked about it after the game. Thomas Partey started at right back, and Ben White played at centre back with Saliba. So Saliba, fine, usual thing. I thought he was better against City, to be honest. But again, he's coming back after last season's injury layoff. We know what he's capable of. I've got no worries about him at all. For the most part, completely solid again. Thomas Partey, actually, I thought he played all right off the right back position. He ended up switching with Ben White quite a lot. And for a large portion, so he was more of a centre back, but he was doing this inverted role that Zinchenko was doing on the left side last year. Jurrien Timber was going to be doing it, and we'll get to that. And I think Timber could do it on either side of the field as well. So what it was for me is really was we were seeing another tactical test almost, and I wonder if part of it is because it's like Forest at home. You'd think the team's capable of beating them. We've not really seen Partey play there before, so to me it is a bit of a test situation, looking at the opponent and looking at the games that are coming up and all the rest of it. So yeah, I didn't think it was a terrible experiment. Arteta in his post-match presser said it worked exactly how he wanted it to. I'm not so sure about that, but the team got the win. Saka's goal, beautiful. I love that. I was watching something the other day, and somebody mentioned how what Saka's going to do, but you can't stop him. And it was a friend of the show, Kashmir Clay, actually compared him to Arjen Robben. So in the same way that Robben, you knew, would cut in on his left,
yep,
and get a shot on or square it to one of the centre mids or whatever. And you still couldn't stop him from doing it at his most threatening best. So, I really enjoyed that. The biggest takeaway of the game, and obviously I'd love to get your guys' thoughts. I know you might not have watched the entire game. It was on ridiculously early for Pacific. It hurt me to get up. The biggest problem really is the injury to Timber. So it looks like an ACL. That's what's coming out today. At first he put a post out saying back soon. Seemed like maybe it wasn't as bad as what people feared, but now the doctors have looked at it, and I assume the scans have been done and whatnot. We're gonna see, and the key is with an injury like that, don't bring him back anytime soon. Let him recover fully, because otherwise it'll never be the same player. And that will be a miss for us, and I think because it leaves us with the same defense as last season. Which had question marks, especially if something happens to Saliba. So seeing Partey come in, play a bit at right back, a bit at centre back, quite well. I mean, we know he can tackle. The only weak point, I'd be worried about what he's like at, defending set pieces with his head and things like that, like kind of the traditional centre back duties. I'm not worried about his interception ability or his tackling ability or his strength or anything like that. It's more so those centre back fundamentals. Could that cost us if he's playing in that position? So losing our quality depth in the first game, because I was quite excited about the way Timber's been playing, it hurts a little bit, but I'm also encouraged by the fact that he's finding a way to fit Partey and Rice in together in a different way.
Yeah, on the topic of Timber, he seems like someone who's really trying to win the fans over, with all of his performances, even through preseason. He goes kind of 110%. I remember in some preseason games, he was like one of the few guys going hard, just for preseason and stuff like that. And it seems like maybe because what I understand is he initially got injured, he went down, and then he went back on the field, I believe.
It was a challenge he got booked for. And it was like a tweak to the knee. And they assessed it at halftime. He said it was fine.
Yeah.
They would have done typical physio things, rotate, you move the joint around, how does that feel, all that stuff, right? And if the player's telling you he's good to go and there's no pain, fine.
Okay, so they went through halftime and then he came back on. Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, he came out with the team, and then he just turned, no tackler on it. He just turned, and when he planted, you could just see his knee, something popped there in his knee. So
interesting. Yeah, you wonder if he was like, just telling the medical crew, I'm fine, or something like that, just because he wanted to kind of really prove to the home fans.
There might be an element of that, but
maybe.
We'll never know. I mean, that's really hypothetical. We have no idea what's going on inside his mind. But
and also he's tweeting, be back soon type of thing, and it's like 6 months isn't exactly, or upwards of 6 months.
But I mean, maybe he didn't know at that time either, right? To him, absolutely. It might, because I damaged my ACL once. Luckily I didn't tear it, but I was playing badminton as well, not football, when it happened. Although the doctor said it was most likely the weekly football that led to it being in that condition.
Right.
And then I finished it off in a heated game of badminton with my father. It was, and badminton and tennis, if you do have any weak points in your knees, those games will expose it because it's all plant and twist, right? So
hard surfaces,
hard surface, but you plant your foot and then you're moving. You might be planting and then you go down and swipe the ball, right? So it's all terrible game for your knees if you have bad knees. So like it's one of those things, right? Maybe this has been coming for him. Who knows? It's just a big shame. It is a big shame, but we're gonna have to do without. And it is what it is.
Yeah. Other point in that game I have written here was that Martinelli dribble. Beautiful dribble down the wing. But was it an assist or was it a dribble? Did he mean to pass the ball or did he lose the ball under his feet? Hoff, what do you think?
That's what I had the same question. I watched the extended highlights because I didn't catch it live, and I saw that and I was like, damn, that was a good pass. And I just hit like the 15-second rewind. I watched again. I'm like, I don't know if he actually meant to pass that. Either way, it looked awesome.
I posed the question to some fans, and they were pretty adamant that he meant to pass it. And I mean, part of me wondered, was he trying it like the Cruyff turn or Zidane turn, whatever you want to call it, and like squeeze between them. But either way, it was pretty, it was nice, and Eddie finishing it off, you love to see it.
Write it in the YouTube comments, guys. 1, if it was a pass and he intentionally meant to do it, or 2, if he was dribbling and he lost it under his feet. I think it was a dribble and he lost it under his feet, personally. I know the fans would say it's a pass, but whatever. But I think he just lost it under his feet. But it turned out into a nice goal. Eddie Nketiah now has scored 14 goals in his last 16 home games, which is pretty remarkable.
I mean, all I'll say Martinelli's defense is you should hear the things the players say about him that he does in training. That's what I'm going to.
Okay. I mean, I can't argue with that. There's like, this is all anecdotal now, you know.
I guess. But what you're, yeah. It's anecdotal that you're asking the question. Right?
What else happened in the game? Oh, yeah. On the top, you mentioned a lot of things. On the topic of, Gabriel not starting. Like you said, with Partey, you wonder about his aerial ability. And I think that's Gabriel's big advantage, right? If you're playing a team with a lot of aerial weapons, then Gabriel has got to be in the team. I like the look of Arsenal with, Saliba at the middle, and then kind of White and Timber kind of flanking him as kind of those mobile center backs, very much like kind of modern center back type of setup. And I think the only change from the Community Shield was Gabriel off and Nketiah on. So they kind of went, instead of just Havertz up top, they put Havertz and Nketiah up top.
Which is hilarious, because if you'll, those of you watching on YouTube, feel free to go back through the segments. I said we'll never see that in a league game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Eddie and Havertz up top. I mean, look, obviously with Jesus' injury, it changed some things, right? I'm not sure that Jesus' extent of injury was known when I said that. Right. I still don't know. I don't know that it's what I want to see week in, week out, to be honest with you. I still think, I told you guys last week, Havertz, there are going to be fans that judge, not Arsenal fans necessarily, but there will be rival fans and neutrals that judge Havertz on his goals because of the position that he's in the lineup sheet in, right? But again, I don't think that's what he's there for. And most of our goals come from Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, maybe Eddie. If Havertz chips in with a few, it'll be great. But I don't think that's what he's there for. And I think, again, in this game, it was about his strength and his holding the ball and being that link, and pulling players out of position and stuff. So I think it's a player we have had in Jesus, but I think Jesus is more likely to retain the ball than Havertz. I think Havertz is more likely to lay it off or look for someone in a better position than him, whereas Jesus might sometimes be a bit more selfish with it, right? Whether that's good or bad.
Hey there, hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider subscribing to the 91st Minute here on YouTube. Also, feel free to use the links in the description to follow us on all social media platforms.